That's perfect. I'm really, really happy with that. Welcome back to our 67 F100 Cummins swap. Quick rundown, 67 at Ford F100, going short bed to long bed. Got a P-pump 6BT, 12 valve with a NV4500, 241 DHD, Dana 60 front, Dana 80 rear on a 2012 Ram 3500 frame. So we got it mostly mocked up here. And in this video, we're gonna build the rear suspension. And I'm really excited because I guess I haven't really said what I want this truck to be. Is it's going to be my daily. It's going to be my tow pig for everything except my really, really big gooseneck. And down the road, we want to get a vintage truck bed camper to put in the back and take it camping, so we can haul our boat to the water, camp in the little camper, go hang out with our van friends, and camp overnight. So this thing needs to, one, ride well, needs to be able to tow. I'd like to be able to do some two tracking with it, so light off-road articulation, not going to be its strong suit, but it needs to be capable. So with that, I didn't want leaf springs. Honestly, I hate leaf springs. We'll just leave it at that. So I needed something that'll ride well, it'll kind of off-road, and it can carry a lot of weight. And also with a truck bed camper, that's a really high center of gravity. So I need something that's going to be really stable. So I've gone through and through and through on what the rear suspension needs to be, and I have it all planned out. I've run all the numbers, and we'll go to the back and I'll kind of lay it out, and then we're going to build it. Before I can figure out the rear suspension, I need to get the rear axle prepped. And this thing came with these giant drums because it was a dually axle, and you can see here how much they hang inside. And because this was a cab chassis frame, this axle is actually narrower than a single wheel. So what I did was stripped off everything. Backing plate, drum, I don't need any of it. And to get my track width right, I needed an 1.5-inch spacer. So 1.5-inch spacer is going to go there. And then I'm going to reuse the rotors that were on the Ford on that other Dodge axle, that 60. That'll go in here. And then that matches up with, I'll need to get some brackets. But I have these... You can kind of see them sitting in this pile over here somewhere. Oh, there it is. They are GM 1-ton front calipers from the early 80s. So that everybody uses the disc brake swap them. So that's what I'm going to do. But that'll move everything outboard, and then we can figure out where the suspension's going to line up, because that giant drum will be out of the way. Get us a lot more room. As I showed you guys before, I've got all the bracketry pulled off this frame because we're not going to use any of it. So I've got a Dana 80, it's out of a cab chassis truck, so I did have to put wheel spacers on it to make the width right. But not a super big fan of that, but it'll be fine. So with this, what do I need? As you can see there, airbags. So it's going to be an air suspension. But I ran all the numbers on these airbags, and it's kind of hard to find exactly what I want in airbags. I was able to buy these cheap off Facebook, so I'm going to make them work. And also, airbags have limited travel. You can see that one's all the way deflated. That one's, I guess, mostly inflated. They're not much different. So how do I do that? I wanted to do a 4-link. There's just no room. There is no room with where the fuel tank is. You got a drive shaft, and then you got exhaust. There's no room. So it's going to get a trailing arm with the bag mounted partway up the trailing arm. And what that will do is change the spring rate. It'll actually make those ride softer than they really are. And that'll make it ride pretty nice. The other thing it will do is, by moving it up to the middle of a trailing arm, it's going to increase my travel. That thing may only have 6 inches of total travel, but if I put it in the middle of the arm, I'll get 12 inches of travel. So that's how I'm going to make those bags work. And I'll be able to put them right underneath the frame rail to try to get them out fairly wide. Now, another thing that I'm doing is the control of these. I'm going to put a leveling valve on this truck with a dump. And I've got some other trick stuff. I'm going to have a switch to be able to inflate these to the max to pick the truck all the way up. I'm going to have a dump switch to lower it all the way down. And then I'm going to have the leveling so I don't have to play with pressures. That it's just going to be a semi-truck leveling valve. It'll just keep everything at the right height and I won't have to mess with it. It'll literally be a jump in and go, hook up a trailer, it levels, drop a giant camper in the bed. It self-levels. And I'm going to do some pretty trick stuff with some solenoids too to try to make this thing ride even better, but have really good handling. We'll get to that down the road. For now, I'm just going to manually plumb these in to make it work. So, we have to build trailing arms that are strong enough to hold a whole truck bed camper. So this is going to be, I've got some beefy steel for the trailing arms. And then it's going to be a 3-link in the middle. Because like I said, I've got no room, so I actually have to put my 3rd link basically right above the drive shaft. And then back here, we'll put a track bar in. So here is kind of a little mock-up of the plan. So this is going to get welded on the frame. These are going to get recessed into this tube. I need to get DOM for the outside of these bushings, and then that'll get welded in here. This is 4-inch by 3-inch by quarter wall. So this is really, really heavy duty. These bushings are actually for the front leaf springs of an old F Super Duty. They're the widest ones I could find. Because when you put your weight in the middle, if you put a rod end on here, there'd be nothing to keep it from just trying to twist. So you need a bushing, and you want something, or I want something, as wide as possible. So these are 3-inch on the inside, and they're from an old F Super Duty, so they've got 5/8 bolts. They're going to be stout. So I checked them up in the drill press first to get the hole straight through, drilled a pilot hole, and then used the plasma, and it doesn't want to focus, but that turned out pretty nice. So my plan is when I get my DOM is I'll slip my DOM inside so it'll sit on the back edge of this, and then I can fill that whole gap with weld. So this one is offset to the top, so I have enough room for the frame bracket. The rear one will be a little more centered, but I haven't done that one yet. So it'll kind of take a little of the angle out of the arm, but not change my points, so they'll be where I need to be. But this should work. I just need to, this is 1 out of 4 ends, so I need to do it 3 more times. So I dropped the bed down and I just picked it back up because I wanted to get the axle in the right spot before we start mocking this up. So I've got the laser laid out here. I've got everything lined out. I've got my axle center line marked. That's all good. Everything's going to fit, but I am using every available piece of space on this truck. Like, look at this clearance from the fuel tank to the rear diff. That's 3 fingers. Luckily, the way the axle swings, it'll come back when it comes up. So we're all good there. This sway bar, yeah, that's hoping that clears the control arm. I think it will. But yeah, you can see how that is actually taking advantage of this cutout on the fuel tank. Everything is really, really tight. So this is all laid out. Now we need to get the control arm underneath. Got one of them mocked up here. So here is the frame side. So this will mount underneath the frame. This is obviously the axle side. And I ended up having to offset them up to make sure that this corner doesn't hit anything when it rotates. So as you can see, these are beefy. You know, this is 4x3 tube. These are huge. So I don't have my DOM tube in here yet, but that's fine. This will at least let me get it mocked up. So I'm going to shove this thing under here to see what it looks like, because I am excited. Well, it's nighttime, and I've been thrashing because I really want to see this, and I don't know if I'm just crazy or just really tired or what, but I am really excited about this. So there's my front mount. I need to add another gusset in here. So I got these outrigger brackets that kind of push everything out, gets it outside the frame. Big old hanger here. The airbag's going to go right about here. So you can see that is not a conventional spot. And then I've got everything tacked on back there. This is going to work really well, or I'm an idiot and it's not going to work at all. But I am super excited about this. There's a whole lot of bracing and everything that needs to happen. Obviously, I got to make airbag mounts, but I am really excited about this. I think this is going to work awesome. Like, this bag is really tight in here, but it's all gonna work. Like, look at this. I'm trying to cram everything in here and it's just working. And I am really, really happy with the way all of this is coming out. All right, it's the next morning, and I know I said I was gonna wait, but I got excited and I just knocked out the passenger side last night. So that looks exactly like the driver's side. It took me a long time getting it measured up, probably because I was really tired, but that's all good. So now we can move on to the upper link. Kind of dark under here. This bed kind of kills all my light. But so that's the Dana 80 from the dually that I got the Cummins from. And this is a truss that I got from Barnes 4-wheel drive. It fits awesome. So that's going to go on there, and then we'll have an upper link from here to this cross member here, which is going to have to get braced up. I mean, it's beefy, but I'm still a little worried about putting a lot of stress into this because under torque, these are trying to compress, these lowers, and the upper is trying to pull back. So that's how the drive shaft or the rear axle tries to move. So it's actually going to pull on this really hard. So I need to make sure that that is stiff. But I'm going to get the axle cleaned up here so we can tack on this sweet truss. It fits really nice. Like I mean, custom, not custom, is off the shelf, but made for a Dana 80. Fits beautifully. So got to clean up the axle, got to clean that thing up. We'll get it tacked on, and then we can build our upper link of our 3-link. Truss is all tacked in. I got my upper link mount welded on, and as you can see, that's adjustable. So I got 4 different holes, and that can dial in my roll steer and my anti-squat, so I can adjust that as needed. It also has a little bit of an effect on kind of my pinion angle change through travel, which isn't as important since I'm doing the airbags, because I can, my ride height never changes. Loaded, unloaded, it's always at the same static ride height. Obviously there's travel up and down. And then I got my front bracket up here. You can see that's all tacked on there. That fits pretty nice. And then these are Barnes like in-house. It's kind of like a Heim joint, but it's kind of like a bushing. I didn't want to do all Heim joints because I want this thing to ride nice, but on the bottom I have my bushings because that needs the stability. These will allow a little more flex, but also this gives me my pinion angle adjustment. So these are both threaded, so I'll be able to adjust this upper arm to change my pinion angle to whatever I need. I have it set kind of nominally where I think I need it. And then obviously these have ridiculously long shafts, so I'll never have a pinion angle problem. And these are just beef, like pure beef. So I'm really happy with this. That's gonna need some more bracing. And like I said, we're gonna brace this. So I just need to measure this up and cut a piece of DOM tube, and we'll have our upper link mocked up. Here's my upper link tube, and yeah, this is 2-inch OD quarter wall. Like this is massive stuff. But because of what I want to do with this truck, towing, hauling, anything, it's got to be beef. So it's all quarter wall. I mean, this thing weighs a lot, just this piece. I'm gonna get it in there and get it tacked up. All right, track bar is tacked in where I think it needs to go. It's really tight in here. I got a spare tire mounted up here with the stock spare tire winch because I want to be able to carry a full-size spare. There's not much room behind the axle and the spare tire here, so I might have to move the spare tire back. We'll see. But right now I want to cycle this and make sure that everything's going to work. I think it's roughly all the way up now, which that's not my concern. My concern is all the way down. Make sure everything clears. So I'm gonna lower this down. We'll see. I'm worried about the diff cover back here because this is tight. You can see this kind of snakes right here. So I got the spare tire, I got the diff cover, and this bracket to this frame rail. So let me lower it down. We'll see what happens. Hopefully nothing hits. Can't really see with the spare tire.
Looking good so far.
Is it? Let's see anything else.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it is clearing.
Ooh.
It's real tight.
It is really, I can't get anything in there.
It's real tight, but I mean, I can.
Oh, I hear it, Robin.
Yep.
It's okay, I can't stop the hoist, so it's just gonna keep going. What's going on here? Why does it not work? Wow, I can hear it like creaking down. Oh, my track bar mount's clearing the frame. Holy crap, is that tight? Kaylee, it's still going down.
I know. It goes way lower than I would have
Alright,
thought.
I think that is like frame to frame here, so. Well, I'm touching the diff cover, so it's sitting on the diff cover, but I think this is lower than, yeah, it's framed out right there. Oh, I'm hitting this bracket. And this drive shaft angle, you see that? Like, the drive shaft is gonna go through the upper link, so that's not good. This is not good. The track bar's gotta go back. The spare tire, I'm gonna have to move this winch back and probably cut this cross member up. Because this isn't even the right size spare tire. It's like a 34, and I want to get a 37 under here.
Ugh.
So this is going to have to move back. But I can cut this cross member up to fit. But this clears, so I'm happy with that. This all clears. Drives, like I've got 2 inches from my fuel tank to my rear diff. So that clears. That's not good. But I think I'm lower than it'll actually go.
It
All right.
seems like it. I mean,
Yeah,
it is way low right now.
It is like low rider bombed out. I mean, the rear frame is kneecap height. So, all right. Well, this is it's a good test because so far, I mean, everything kind of clears except for some stuff. So now I think I need to get the airbag mounts in because these airbags actually have a bump stop inside them. And that's what I think I'm going to use as my lower stop. So if I get these mounted up, then I can drop this all the way and see where it's going to stop. I can always add an external bump stop if it's too much, but I'd like to keep as much travel as I can. But right now, this I can fix. I can cut and weld to move all that. That drive shaft into the upper link mount is not good. Which actually, yeah, I didn't even think about that, is this upper link mount, first straight thing I can find. Well, the bed's probably like here, so that puts my upper link through the bottom of the bed. So, yeah, it cannot droop this far. We need to make sure it doesn't droop this far. Or, I guess, drop this far. Yeah, let me get some airbag mounts locked up on here and we'll do this all again. And it shows this is plausible. Might have to do some travel limiting, but I probably shouldn't have gone with the ridiculously oversized track bar.
I mean,
but we want to do a truck bed camper, and that is a lot of side load, and I don't drive slow. So I was like, you know what? I'll just order the big one, make it the same. Might have made my life harder than it needs to be right now. All right, so I've been messing with this a lot. And as you can see, the airbag is mounted on the trailing arm. And what this does is it makes the airbag a little softer because it's not directly over the axle. And it also increases my travel a little bit. So I'm trying to balance this all out. I had it all calculated out, but not knowing the exact rate of the airbags, I'm working off the data that Firestone has on the internet, which is, maybe perfect, maybe not. I'm also guessing on what all of this weighs, so that's another kind of error. But the other side is those airbags have bump stops in them, so I'm trying to balance, how low so I don't hit anything. And where I have them here, everything seems to work. And then I jumped on the back and I measured how much the chassis sank. And I got a spring rate total of about 400 pounds per inch. So 200 pounds per inch on a corner, which is a little lower than what I wanted. Kind of want this thing to be a little bit stiffer than that. So I think, and right now it takes about 36 psi to hold everything up at ride height, which is, I'm fine with that. That number makes sense. But I think what I'm going to do, and this is why everything's tacked in, is I'm going to slide it back just a little bit. I think I'm going to move it back just a couple inches, top and bottom, and that'll make it a little make the truck feel a little stiffer. It'll take a little bit of pressure out of the bags, and it will reduce my travel a little bit. But, and the other advantage of putting these on the trailing arms is that the bag actually sees half the articulation. So when this flexes out, if it was on the axle, it would see twice as much angle. So having it on the trailing arm, it only sees half as much, which will help the life of these bags. So it's a win-win-win. And the reason I spaced it up off the trailing arm and not down off the frame is, one, I wanted to help get it up, kind of protected by the frame for any like rocks or anything that might get thrown from the front. And the other side of it is, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to use that sway bar right there, but I would like to try to, and putting it up also gives me a little bit of clearance there. So I think I'm going to slide them both back. All right, fresh new morning, and after sleeping on it, didn't like where I had them. I moved them back 3 inches, and that's where they are now. So this is right now fully extended. So this is all the way up. This is about 3 inches over where ride height will be. And I'm really happy. Everything looks really good. So these fit in here nice. They're kind of protected by the tire. They clear the axle. I'm really happy with how all this turned out. Now let me see if I can deflate these, and we'll see it all the way down. She's coming down. All right, so that is all the way down. Bags look nice. They're nice and flat. Plates are parallel. It clears everything. Up here, we don't have any drive shaft issues. That'll clear there. Back here, we're good. This will clear. I'm actually probably going to take this track bar and slide it forward in the truck to get it a little bit closer here to give me a little more spare tire room. Because right now that is ratchet strapped back. So, and it'll make it a little more straight if I slide this end forward, and I've got the room to do it. So I'm going to do that. Man, everything looks good. Good clearance here. And you can look, that top of that mount is pretty much even with the top of the frame. So this is dumped, I think this is like 5 inch below ride height. So it'll be nice for like loading anything in the bed, hooking up a trailer. I can dump a bit of back under and pick it up. So I'm really happy with this. So now what we got to do, I think it's okay, but we got to drop the bed down and cycle it and make sure it's not going to hit anything. But so far, I'm really happy with this. This turned out sweet. Man, this looks freaking sick. So this is normal ride height. And I would just want a little bit of rake. It doesn't really have much right now because the front end is still too high. That, with the extra weight up there, like coolant, intercooler, batteries, bumper, all that stuff, the front's going to come down. If it doesn't, I'll cut the spring or put a softer spring in. But man, this looks absolutely sick. This looks sweet. And even the spare tire with it pulled back, like, no problems there. God, this looks amazing. All right, let's dump this thing and see how low it goes. This is normal ride height, so we'll see how much it can dump. Oh, that is perfect. That is perfect. Look at that, fully dumped. I can still drive if I need to. So like if I need to dump to get in a garage or something. Even with 37s, I'm gonna have no rub, nothing. That's perfect. And the rear, like, that's gonna put my tailgate height like mid-thigh. This is gonna be sweet, like loading anything in here, like hauling stuff, hooking up a trailer. Damn, look at that. Like, that's like just like mid-chest. All right, let's take it all the way up. I just want to play with it now. Yeah, let's go in there. Fortunately, I can only do one side at a time right now because all I have are these trailers. But hey, it works. That's freaking cool. That's pretty much all the way up. Which, yeah, it went from mid chest to my collarbone. That's like 8 inches of difference. Dang. All right, now I'm gonna dump it from here just because I like watching this. That's perfect. I'm really, really happy with that. This is gonna be sick. And if I put those airbags right on the axle, I wouldn't have this much travel. It'd be a lot stiffer. Putting them on the trailing arms is the trick setup. This thing's going to get a leveling valve off like a semi truck with dumps, so it'll automatically maintain ride heights. I don't have to do anything. And it'll have a dump, so I'll be able to dump it all the way down for loading, hooking trailers. And I've got some electronics I'm going to put on it too to make it ride and handle even better. So that'll come on later on. For now, this is perfect. This took a lot of time of calculating what my spring rates needed to be, where I needed to put everything, make all my geometry right, make my anti-squat numbers where I need them, my pinion angle changed. It was a ton of work, and then even getting it on the truck. Since then, I went and I kind of moved everything around a little bit. So I'm really, really happy with where it's at. Like the nose needs to come down a little bit, but this is going to be phenomenal. This is going to do everything I need. I'm super pumped about this. Man, that is awesome. All right, I still got to move that track bar. So I'm going to do that next. All right, the track bar slid forward like 2 inches on the frame. So now, as you can see, it's perfectly straight across. I checked it, clears everything. You can see all the extra room I have now to the spare tire. And then while I was in there, I thought, you know what? Let me see if the factory shock mounts will work on the axle. As you can see, that's tight. I got it moved up here, which is close to where the factory one was on the frame. The factory one was out here. These are a little closer. So I checked that. That clears all the way up and down. So it's kind of tight to my spare tire here. So I'm gonna have to make sure I watch that. And then front here, so that one kind of set my angle. So in this one, I just wanted to match the offset so it has the same ratio as that one and I get equivalent damping left and right. So I had to build it back a little bit, but this is one of the old bump stop mounts off the frame, tucked in nicely to here. Helps brace up that cross member too a little bit. That all fits. I'm really happy with this. Really, the only thing I can see that's going to be an issue is I'm going to have to get a 4-inch exhaust through here and then over this track bar and straight down here. That's the only place it's really going to fit. So that's going to take some creative work on the exhaust, but that is a problem for another day. So I'm really happy. Rear suspension buttoned up. I've cycled it. Everything works. Up, down, nothing hits. Everything's tight. But hey, that's what it is. It's a regular cab regular cab long bed truck. There isn't much room for anything. It's got a crazy trailing arm, airbag suspension. So I'm really, really happy with this. This is freaking awesome. So now I just gotta weld everything up, but it's really coming along. All right, we got one more thing we got to do before we call the rear suspension completely tacked in and mocked up. And that is we got to brace that upper mount for the upper link. Like I said earlier, I'm a little worried about that cross member putting all that torque into it. So we got some tube. We're gonna make a brace and brace that up. And then the rear suspension will be fully mocked up. Okay, simple and effective. So that ties into both bed cross members and then catches the front of this. So that's going to work out. I'm really happy with that. And yeah, like everything else, I got to brace these up because right now these are not strong enough to do anything. But when everything gets fully welded, I'm going to brace absolutely everything. But I'm really happy with that. So when this rotates back and tries to pull on this, it really can. It's tied into these two cross members. So again, the whole theory here is just beef. I'm happy with that. All right, suspension, 100% mocked up. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. I think it's going to work awesome. and that was a ton of work, and I'm really happy with it. That's all I can say. I, I I'm really, I think this is going to be awesome. So that's going to wrap this video up. I know it was really long, and thanks for watching all the way through. If you did, if you made it this far, if you care about my stupid little Cummins trailing arm airbag suspension, thanks for watching all the way through. And then next time, I think we're going to do, so I'm trying to get all the fab work done. I think we're going to do exhaust. And I know I said I was going to leave the motor stock. Maybe not. So come back. We'll do that next time.